Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Controlled Chaos podcast. We are your hosts, Kaylin.
And Christian.
So, jumping right into it, Chris, what's your opinion on the new Spider-Man news?
Okay, so for those of you that may not know, back in July, Spider-Man, Tom Holland in the new MCU movies was recent. Well, not recently because it happened back in July, but he was kicked out of the MCU. Like Far From Home, his new movie came out that summer, and Sony was just no, not even Sony. It was Disney actually. Disney wanted more money, right? And Sony didn't want to keep giving them more money because they already had to spend so much money on making the actual movies, worrying all about that. And Disney was out here like, yo, we want more money from you. So Sony was finally like, no, we're taking them back. We don't care what you guys want. And Spider Man's ours now. We're gonna we can create better movies than you guys, and all that crazy stuff happened. And then recently today, which is Friday. You guys are listening to this on Saturday, so the day before, Spider-Man finally joined back in the MCU, and it's said that he's gonna get his third installment in the movie. And there's some other news saying that there's possibilities that he can star back in more Avengers movies, right? So this is all pretty cool, especially for all you superhero fans, especially someone like me who likes the character of Spider-Man and likes the MCU movies and likes seeing him in there. It's pretty cool. What about you, Kalen? You got any
Yeah,
thoughts on Spider-Man?
I think Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, actually, it kind of hurt me when they were like, yes, we're just gonna take him back. I was like, yo, that kind of sucks. They kind of built up that whole relationship with like Iron Man and him and the whole like Infinity War Endgame Civil War scene. And it's kind of you kind of brought him in there, and everybody was like super attached. Especially he's a really good actor, Spider-Man. I personally really enjoy Tom Holland. Still, Tobey Maguire will be my favorite Spider-Man, but Tom Holland's a really good like actor for him. I like him more than Andrew Garfield at least.
Yo, you know what's one thing that's underrated about Andrew Garfield is the Amazing Spider-Man 2 suit.
Yes,
The
that.
amaz the suit from Amazing Spider-Man 2 was probably the best Spider-Man suit that there is. Like it was an actual real suit, unlike CGI, like in the MCU movies at least, and it looks so nice and comic accurate. Like I don't think we could ever get like that good of a suit again. So
Yeah,
yeah.
I totally agree with that. I think Andrew Garfield definitely underrated Spider-Man, but personally for me, if I had to rank them, it would be Tobey Maguire, Tom Holland, and then Andrew Garfield. That's just my personal opinion, though. If y'all want to fight about it in the comments, go ahead. I don't give a fuck how much you guys liked it when Gwen Stacy died and you cried about it. I don't give no fucks. All right, he's still not that good of an actor. Y'all cried when fucking Uncle Ben died and fucking Tobey Maguire went up to him was like, oh my uncle, oh fuck, he's dead. Yeah, y'all felt that one too. But yeah, like the whole Tom Holland scene and all that. I was like, when I read the news, I was on Twitter. I was going to Twitter feed, and like it was like, oh yeah, Tom Holland's back with MCU, and I was like, oh, that's great, because they could pick up right at the third movie after the second movie ended. If you guys haven't seen that movie, you should really go watch it. It's really good. They picked up with the whole. I'm not gonna spoil anything, just in case you guys like it, even though it's been out for a while. But the whole ending kind of led up to the whole like Spider-Man 3 coming out, and once they were like, Sony was like, we're just gonna take him back. It was kind of like, damn, nigga, like y'all really just like did that right here, like, cause like that kind of sucks. But like, yeah, that's mostly about it. I think it's great that they brought him back though, just so they can keep using the whole Iron Man and the whole like other stuff that happened in Endgame and Infinity War. So I think it's pretty
Yeah,
good.
yeah, they loved us so much in the end of Far From Home that everybody was so excited for Spider-Man 3 just for that news to get hit on us. Like, what was it even like the first week that like the movie was out that people found out that was gonna
It was like
happen?
the first week, and like Sony was like, "All right, we're taking it back," and everyone was like, "Yo."
Everyone was so mad, and it took a while for people to realize that it wasn't even Sony's fault. It was Disney's fault for wanting so much more money. And everybody's out here like boycott Sony, boycott Sony. Disney is amazing, and eventually people are gonna realize that the MCU movies, as good as they are, they're eventually not gonna be super good. Like honestly, for me, the Phase 4 movies coming out, they seem interesting, but they don't seem as good as like the older MCU movies at this point. Like I'm not really hyped for them
Oh
anymore.
yeah, totally. I totally agree. I feel like all the old Marvel movies, like going back to like the first Captain America, the first Iron Man, all that. Nothing's ever gonna top like the original like things that started the whole like that led up to all Infinity War and Endgame. I totally agree with that. Like Phase 4 movies are kind of just like like cool, we're getting a Black Widow origin movie, and it's like cool. Like personally, I'm gonna like that mostly because she's obviously part of like the original whole scene and all that. So that's gonna be okay. I feel like that's probably the only movie that's gonna be good. Are you doing the Volume 3 Guardians?
Yeah, they are, but there's no release date for it yet. They just James Gunn knows that he like it's gonna get worked on, but they just don't know exactly when. Wait, actually, I'm not sure if they're using James Gunn for Guardians 3 anymore because of the whole thing about like his old tweets. I don't remember the news. Like I didn't keep up on the news anymore because I was like people are just getting annoying on this. But I don't remember if James Gunn is coming back. All I know is that Guardians 3 is confirmed. There's just no official release date yet. One movie that does seem pretty interesting though is the new Doctor Strange movie,
Oh, it's gonna be a horror.
Multiverse of Madness, I think it's called.
Yeah,
And it's supposed to be a horror, like you said.
that's so cool, dude. Like,
Yeah, but the one thing that like is like taking me off a little bit is that it's a horror movie, which seems cool, and especially like the whole multiverse, that can lead up to some pretty cool things and like scary things that they can show off. But it's still a Disney movie. Disney is pretty they're not gonna let everything slide. They're gonna be really controlling. They're gonna say, there's a limit to what you can do. You're not gonna be able to do this. You're not gonna be able to do that. You have to stay by this. Like it can't be too
oh yeah,
scary.
totally. Cause it's a marketing tool. It's like Disney's known for like kids and all that. Like if they put Doctor Strange in a horror film, it's like, all right, cool. It's a horror film. All right, we'll let it slide. But you can't be using like all this like type of scary shit that'll scare the little kids away. That's our
Yeah,
profit.
it's a PG-13 horror movie, and it's like, sure, it's an MCU movie, sure. Like, and the thing that sucks is that it's an MCU movie, not the way I mean that is that they always fill them with so much comedy. Like, look at Endgame. It was supposed to be, the darkest story that they have told, and yeah, it was dark, in the sense of like Iron Man dying, like everything happening, and like a bunch of other characters dying, and seeing like the aftermath of Infinity War and Thanos' snap. But there was still so much humor. Like Thor was playing Fortnite, he was fat now, all that type of stuff. And it takes out a bit of like this whole idea that like the movie was supposed to be like super like dark,
Yeah,
and that's what I'm kind of worried about
I
for Doctor
totally agree with
Strange
that.
because I feel like they're gonna fill it with jokes, and there's gonna be some scenes like oh that's a little creepy, but it's not gonna be like scary movie like type deal, which kind of sucks.
Yeah, like I'm pretty sure if Marvel was it wasn't owned by Disney or anything, like they probably could have made that like as scary as they wanted to. If it was like them only, when I had to worry about any strings attached or anything, that could have been Doctor Strange in a horror film. The first one was really good and tripping me out. Like if that was a horror film, I'd probably be like, oh shit, this is fucking crazy. Like I personally wouldn't if Disney was in the picture, it'd probably be way better. It's still we don't know. Like it's not like it's still probably gonna be a pretty good movie, but it's not gonna be like oh horror type of thing. But
Yeah, it's not gonna be like your good old like scary movie that you don't want to watch in the dark by yourself. Like, but it'll still be a good movie either way.
oh, since we're on horror films, so did you watch It Chapter Two?
In chapter two, yes, actually, I liked it. What about you?
I was watching it. I went with a couple of my friends and then my cousin, but I was dying because I most of the movie I just kept making jokes because I didn't think the movie was personally I don't think it was scary. Sure, there was like that one really weird jump scare with like the what was it Paul Bunyan whatever like
Oh, the
the
Paul
Bunyan
Bunyan
statue
statue?
when
Yeah.
it comes to life. I was like, oh shit! I was like, yo, that's fucking that creeped me out. But other
Yo,
than
the
that,
grandma when she was running around
that
naked
was comedy,
and
dude.
she ran after it. Like, I didn't expect her to be that big.
Oh, me neither, dude. That was
Like
crazy.
like they show her in the background, like like running, like scurrying through the hallway, like completely naked. And I'm like, oh, she's gonna come out, she's gonna be like normal size, but just naked and like acting crazy. And then she comes out and she's like huge, and I'm like, what the heck is wrong
Yo,
with
you can
this?
see her titties flapping everywhere. I was crying.
Those things were flapping around everywhere. They
I
were so
was
saggy.
laughing so much. I remember hearing my cousin start laughing, and I'm like dying in like the entire theater. And I'm like, bro, what is this? This is comedy. I thought H Chapter 2 was a complete, like, it was scary. There's some parts where I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. It's kind of creepy. It gives me like that eerie goosebump feeling. But at the same time, I thought it was funny because I was just like, there's so much humor in there. To me, at
Yeah.
least, it was just really
It
funny.
wasn't like scary where it's like, oh, I can't watch this movie anymore. Like, I feel like I'm gonna have nightmares for the rest of my life. Like, it's creepy. Like, they show like some things where you're like, oh, that's nasty, but it's not anything horrible. It's still a good movie in my opinion. It's still worth the watch, and as much as many people said it didn't live up to it chapter one.
Oh, yeah, totally.
Uh,
It's a sequel.
yeah, and you can't really expect sequels to be as good, especially for this one because it was more of
A
like
different
that.
cast, a whole. It was kind of like a whole like. I think I read up on this too. It was like a whole like even the cast members were like the adult cast members. They were like, yeah, we had to sit down with the younger ones and then learn from them so we can actually replicate exactly how they would be like in the future. And I was like, yo, you really had to do all that work for a second movie. I was like, that kind of sucks.
Yeah, but it's still a really good movie at least. It has its like creepy moments and all that, and I'd say it's worth a
I'd
watch.
say it's totally worth the watch. Like, if you want to like have like a good like session of just like let's watch scary movies, and you're looking for like movies with like more than one, I recommend it to be in there. At least it to be in there.
Yeah,
It'd be really good.
with
Another
all,
film. You
yeah
saw.
with all this talk about Spider-Man and it happening back during July, this also brings me up to another topic that I wanted to talk about that we mentioned at the end of our last podcast, which is the Area 51 raid, and how that all went. So I don't know if you want to talk to them a little about that, Kaylin.
Yeah. So yeah, I was when you talked about it, I was kind of like, all right, cool. We're gonna have a whole raid on Area 51. I was expecting mass murder, couple of gunfire, some alien guns. I was expecting ET to fly out on the cart and everything, a little like what was it bike, the cart and all that. And I was like, cool.
Uh,
But like, it ended up being like this really like underwhelming session of people just outside with posters and just people pulled up with guns. They just I think it was like a video of like two guards outside just like looking at them like, what are you doing?
Yeah, it was like a couple guards standing in front, and like the news reporters, like with their cameras, like recording and taking pictures of everybody, and then the people with their signs saying like, "Oh, release the aliens!" And I remember there was this one dude who brought the Infinity Gauntlet, and
Yeah.
like, it's funny seeing all the people there, and that people actually showed up. But it just kind of sucks that I think what it was like. It was supposed to be over 1,000. I think like originally like 200,000 people like signed
Yeah.
up to go. Um, visit Area 51, but the actual people that actually went was like 100 something, I think. So it was like huge, like drop from the amount of people that said they were gonna go.
Yeah.
And it was just them standing outside the whole time. As cool as it was, like saying, "Oh, the meme community came together and got outside Area 51."
If,
Nothing really happened of it. There was a fake news report going around saying that some Florida man got shot down trying to go into the
yeah.
base, but it ended up, like I said, it was fake. So it made it seem like, oh, something cool happened, but nope, just some fake news.
Yeah, but there was that one thing where like the little kid was like running through that Naruto run across like
Oh yeah,
the newscast,
that got pretty big. Yeah, the
Yeah.
dude he was talking about the rain, and then some little kid comes by in the background, just Naruto running.
Yeah, so I thought that just one meme came out of it. Personally, honestly, like I already knew in the back of my head was like, yo, they're gonna go there and just like protest or something. So they're not gonna be able to go in there. I'm pretty sure like I think they stated that it's like an actual state that if you go into any restricted area by government owned, they have the rights to shoot you.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty sure anybody that was there would probably be like, all right, like
No one's really ready to die for
like
a meme. As much as
yeah.
they may say they are, no one wants to die.
And like it would have been like like if you go in there like cool, all you're gonna get is an arrest warrant and like a couple years in prison, and you're gonna go to prison just to be like, yeah, I'm in here because I jumped the fence on Area 51. And it's like, all right, is that really worth it? So obviously that whole Area 51 joke wasn't gonna obviously be executed just because of that reason, just because no one wants to die, no one wants to go to jail and like risk their entire life over a meme.
Yeah. And then the reason we wanted to talk about these two events and news stories first was for our big story that I wanted to mainly talk about, which it goes back a while from the around beginning, no, more like midsummer. Yeah, midsummer that it happened. Probably a lot of you may not know, a few of you may know, but a financier, pretty big person whose name was Jeffrey Epstein, was arrested for sex trafficking and being a pedophile and all that. And it became really big. It was like, damn, this like really powerful dude who owned an island, like his own island, and it had like it had like I think it was a mansion, and people found out that he had kids in there and was doing a whole sex trafficking ring, and it was huge because supposedly they found a list of names of people who were part of that sex ring, and it was going to get out, after his arrest and during the whole trial. But the problem was that during his him being held in jail, he killed himself. Well, it's said that he killed himself. It was reported that he committed suicide. Now the problem with this is that the man was on suicide watch. So there should have always been a guard watching him. There shouldn't have been any reason that anybody, took their eyes off of him, and it just happened to be, the one moment someone takes their eyes off, he dies. And the problem is that there was some photos released of his dead body, and they're like, kind of far away pictures, and people are saying that the body that was shown right there was actually a fake or of someone else that looked like him maybe. So there's a possibility that the man was actually snuck out, and someone else was killed, and that he's still out there, which is kind of scary. And another um, conspiracy about this is that the Clintons, Bill and Hillary Clinton, the man who was president and the woman who wanted to run for president, their names were supposedly on that list of people who will work with Epstein. They were already known for being friends with them, but the problem is that they were on the list and they didn't want anybody to know, and they knew that if he was convicted, their names would get out. So people are saying that because those two people planned for Epstein to kill himself, and that they actually sent someone in there and killed him, and then blamed it all on the suicide. So yeah, it's like super crazy.
Yeah,
So
so it kind of ties into why we want to talk about all this kind of collides together into a whole form of a conspiracy theory that we decided to come up with right now. So basically, as Christian gave you all this about this Jeffrey Epstein guy, basically, this, like you said, there was two powerful people on there, but like obviously, Bill and Hillary on there, and it's kind of gets you thinking like what other people could have been on there also. It's just if you have at least two famous people, obviously there'll be more famous people on there.
there's a picture of Epstein and Trump together, and I remember it's like an old picture, and it's like them together, and like it was known that they were friends. So there's a possibility that Trump was part of that too. And it's crazy and kind of scary thinking about like, how many people are in control of like this country and like, other countries maybe and just all around the world that are part of these types of things, not even just Epstein's, and like, how many are around the world that we just don't know about. And it's kind of scary knowing about that. And the reason I bring up the whole Area 51 and Spider-Man raid was, Epstein's case was such a big story. So many people would have been exposed. So much stuff would have been like known about these like super powerful leaders in the world and just like powerful figures. And as that was happening, first was the Area 51 raid meme. That happened and it took over so much around social media that people pretty much just forgot about Epstein. You had your couple people that were like, oh, hey, don't forget about Epstein, this whole pedophile ring. Maybe and there was a conspiracy saying that maybe the whole Area 51 raid was actually created in order to cover up the Epstein case and make people forget so that, his death can happen and all this and all the information can just, get shoved away and no one can know about it any again.
Yeah, because totally, because everybody like Area 51 raid was super like big, and it kind of just took over a whole platform. All the memes that came out, the jokes, even I think they even news reporters went up to him. We're talking to the actual dude that put up the poll for the Area 51 sign up sheet, and it's kind of like you do that when wait, it kind of happened during that time of something big that could have been they could have exposed like tons of people that are important in the world or even like rich and famous and all that, and it kind of gets you thinking like if that cover up happened and all this other what else could have been covered up with memes or even with just jokes and all that, and all this kind of happened in summer when usually in summer everybody's out of school, so it makes this use more accessible.
Yeah, accessible, and
Accessible.
they're able to like hear all this type of stuff. They're not having school like interrupting them to like hide away the news. And it's also another reason I brought up Spider-Man. A lot of people, no one really mentioned it, and maybe I'm just crazy and I'm just thinking like out of my head. But what if Spider-Man, was taken out of the MCU as part of a way to hide up the Epstein case? Because the whole Area 51 thing happened, but it didn't completely blow away everything about the Epstein
Yeah, they
case.
were still
People were still
needed.
talking about it.
It was needed.
Yeah, and my conspiracy is that Spider-Man, which is in the MCU, is owned by Disney. Disney has been known in like the past to have
Years,
like, yeah,
years of like use of like pedophilia and all that.
yeah,
It's
like
crazy.
there's been some like creepy people up in Disney, and Disney is known to be a super powerful corporation in this world. So they have ties to really big people, powerful people. So we don't know what the type of stuff they're up to. And for all we know, they could have been told to, hey, we know you guys own Spider-Man. Spider-Man's like your biggest thing right now, but you guys have no use for him right now. So what we need you to do is just break it, you know, take the blame for whatever. There's going to be so much controversy caused over it that it's going to make everybody forget. And that's what happened. Everybody forgot about the Epstein case. No one talks
Yeah,
about it
everybody was
anymore.
so focused on how Spider-Man left the MCU universe to got straight to Sony that it was kind of like everybody was just so focused on that, and no one really paid attention to like the Epstein case and all that.
Yeah, everyone was just on their way to send hate to Sony and praise Marvel for Spider-Man. And then now we get news of Spider-Man coming back. And when we thought about it, it's like, sure, Sony can take it back, but we all know that Spider-Man's pretty much always going to come back because of how big of a moneymaker that is.
Oh yeah,
We know
totally.
Sony would never want to take that type of chance of wanting to just get rid of him.
Yeah, because if the whole Sony, Marvel, they're all corporations. They all want that money, and it's kind of like we all like once they broke it off, it was kind of like a dumb decision. I know even though Marvel wanted a lot of money from, which is the whole ordeal of what happened, that Marvel really wanted a lot of money for to use be able to use Spider-Man and all that, and Sony was like, no, thank you. And then out of the blue, now they're like, oh yeah, we're back on it. Marvel and Sony are combining to help Spider-Man, keep him alive and all that. And even Tom Holland was like would post on his Instagram like, "Oh yeah, look, it's like the scene from Wolf of Wall Street
Oh yeah, I saw that.
when Leonardo DiCaprio was like, I'm not fucking leaving," and then like it's all that, and then like Christian said that whole thing, and he just came back, and it was like like you just broke it off like 2 months ago. Like, why are you guys bringing it back now?
Yeah. Like even Tom Holland was always like, he was super chill about it, saying like, there's nothing to worry about. No one needs to worry. Spider-Man's gonna be safe. And now he comes back. For all we know, like this was all always planned. It covered it like it blew up so much steam in the community of people just being like, why would they do this to Spider-Man? Like, why would they want to do that? And it just took away everything from Epstein. No one talked about it, and it like for such a big case of like something that you would think would be of such big importance of like a pedophile ring, and knowing that such powerful people in this world have that type of power and do that like such bad things, desperate to be thrown under because of some character in a movie. It's kind of scary knowing that how many events in this world are created by companies and
Yeah,
powerful people just to cover up smaller, not even smaller, just like huge things that happen around.
yeah, it's not even like funny how much we don't know about what big corporations do, what rich people do with their money. For all we know, we could like they could be doing anything crazy. Epstein just got caught up with it because I guess he got caught. He's the one that got caught, but who knows how many people aren't caught yet?
Yeah, and it's kind of crazy. There's been talks about saying that a lot of mass shootings have happened as a way to have the media
Oh, covering.
stop covering one story and start covering the whole story about a mass shooting, and then go on to the whole topic about gun control again.
Yeah.
And people get so on the topic about gun control that they just forget about everything else,
I don't know if
and it's
anybody
worked
saw
so
this.
often.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody saw this. I don't know if you saw this either. I saw this one Instagram post where it was these are what happened during. I think one was like the ones where like mass shootings happened like in like the same amount of weeks. It was like the same day where like three happened or something, and it was crazy. And then I think that same week that everybody was covering the whole gun control violence, there was other news stories happening. There was like a bunch of other like big name people or like even like big name like financiers and all that. Anybody that was big that was in like the whole corporate aspect that were caught up with stuff that they did like where that was illegal, but no one covered that because of the school shootings. Even I saw that post and I was like, that's kind of strange, that during that week all this stuff happened, but no one covered it due to the mass shootings. So it's kind of like a
Yeah.
big use for that.
Like we hear all the stories about crisis actors being on the news, and for anybody who may not know what a crisis actor is, it's someone who's paid to go tell a story to like reporters who are covering like a story live on TV, and they're like they say the story that they want, that like the powerful people want the people to hear, and it helps them create like their own like their own like things that they want, and cover up what they don't want people to
Yeah,
hear.
they make the stories of what they want to do so they don't look bad. And it's kind of crazy how much power rich people, corporations, how much power they have to be able to even use us as humans, our own conscience. Obviously, they have a lot of money, so basically, us as people, we need money to survive. So they use that against us because they have all of it.
Yeah, like another example of this is which, you know, maybe you believe it or not, and this was 18 years ago, 9/11. Some people may not want to talk about it, but some people may do. And there's a whole conspiracy about how Bush planned 9/11, and
Oh
it's
yes,
kind of crazy when you like fully think about the fact. There's the whole thing about jet fuel can't melt steel beams, and one thing is that um, Bill was at it was either an elementary school or a preschool. He was reading a story to a bunch of kids when the whole 9/11 attacks happened. And he was told the news about it, and he made no expressions about it. And it's said that, oh, he only did that because he was trying to not scare the kids. But what if, he planned to be there because he knew it was going to happen at the time, and he could create that story about, oh, I just didn't want to scare the kids. That's why I had no reaction to it
yeah.
when I was told. So, there's that. And there's the whole thing about, after the whole 9/11 attacks, what if they were all just like, and if they were planned, what if they were just planned so that we could go to war in, the Middle East, and we could
Oh
have
yeah,
like the Afghanistan war and
totally.
all that type of stuff?
It could also be made that they use that as a way for them to spy on us. Because after that, they did a whole like thing where they can they want the whole like Privacy Act thing. They want
Yeah.
like to be used like our cameras or from our laptops and all that. That's why I think I don't know if you guys have are even this young or older. So you're like, some of your like your grandparents may have like their laptops covered with like tape and all that because they didn't want to be seen. And it was
Yeah.
like all it's kind of crazy. They made all that whole spur up over towers falling because it was a terrorist attack. They were like, now we need to control our people. It's kind of called control factor, a way to go to war in the Middle East. It was all one big. I know some people are some little bitches in the comments are like, oh well, like I had a grandparent that died in the tower, so this really hurts my feelings. It's like, yo, like shut up, dude. That's your opinion, cool, but we could talk about this all fucking day about conspiracy about the government, and you could be crying about how your grandfather died in the towers. No offense, like that's always a really bad thing that happened, but also you got to think about the facts of why didn't he act out? Yeah, in front of children. He was in front of children, cool. Didn't want to scare him. But at the end of the day, if you're the president of the United States. There was a terrorist attack
When
that happened.
something like that big happens, like you may just need to leave and go like do actual like presidential stuff.
Yeah, exactly. You could have just told the kids, "Hey, president stuff, I gotta go," and just like immediately call them like, "Hey, dude, like what happened? Like, what's going on?"
Yeah.
Like that's kind of sketch, Like it's kind of like you tower like I think they went to like the Pentagon too, right?
There was one that was supposed to head towards the Pentagon. I think like part of the Pentagon got hit, but supposedly they never found any plane parts over there, which was like the crazy part.
Yeah, so I was gonna talk about that too because apparently one headed to the Pentagon, and it's kind of like if you're a terrorist and you want to go to the Pentagon, you're gonna hit that Pentagon no matter what. Yeah, that's your goal, and to figure out that hit a piece of it, I don't even think it was an important part of it. I think it was like just like a little part of the Pentagon that was like unimportant, and it's kind of like like there were no plane parts found there. It's like really like
One of the crazy stories that I never hear get talked about is that supposedly there was a lot of families that received calls from members, like family members that were in the planes that hit, the buildings of 9/11 or the ones that were headed towards the Pentagon. you know. But the problem with this is you get no cell service up there. Like, you're supposed to turn your phone on airplane mode and all that. You're not supposed to, have it and make calls because it could like interrupt with everything. So there's no way people can call from over there. And it's crazy because these people are reporting saying that, hey, like I had a family member that was in one of the planes and I got a call from them like a couple minutes before like the whole plane went down. And it's crazy because and the whole conspiracy goes towards that one of the planes was actually landed somewhere and all the people were taken out of the plane and then killed. And that's why no plane parts were found. And
yeah.
then over in that area, it was just kind of like set off bombs and started like a fire and whatever to make it look like if a plane crashed right there when nothing ever happened. And it's kind of scary thinking about like what actually did happen. No one like saw like fully like
All people,
everything.
the only people that actually saw are dead. They were the ones in the plane. The people in the buildings, like all they know is a plane crash into them.
Yeah, and then the black boxes too, the ones that are supposed to
Yes,
be
the black
they're
boxes.
supposed to be like indestructible. Like no matter what happens to that plane, like they can always recover them. but in this instance, they were destroyed.
Yeah, that's kind of sketch. Even like black boxes that are for airplanes, if you guys don't know, those are like made to withstand, so they know what went wrong with the plane. That's evidence of what went wrong. It could have been like a jet, like the jet, like the turbines messed up, the jet fuel was like blew up or something. It shows you. But for some instance, during those attacks, a very important attack that happened that changed like our entire like that day, they destroyed. And it's kind of like why that maybe yeah you could just blame it on coincidence or bad luck, but at the same time you gotta think about it like were you really gonna base it off just bad luck or was there something else behind it?
Yeah, so you never know what really happens with these types of things. Like, you get your stories, and for all we know, it could just be the story that they want us to know, making them sound good and making the other people in the world sound like the enemies so that they can do whatever they want. After 9/11, the government had so much free range to be able to do whatever they want. That's why they were able to start the wars and just go wherever and have so much money being sent to the military and being able to spy on people because they were able to justify it, saying that, terrorists could be right around the corner. That someone you walk by could be a terrorist, and people were so scared that they were willing to have their privacy breached so much for the sense of, like, safety after the attacks, that they didn't want to have a terrorist living next to them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it kind of builds up also the whole as history taught us, America likes to influence a lot of wars. We just kind of jump in there thinking we're gonna the more help we do it, it's gonna make America look better. And that's kind of the whole America's thing. We want to be the best country, quote unquote. We want to look the best and all that. And it's kind of crazy how like the lengths that they would go to do that, to look the best, to be the best. And it's kind of gets you thinking like like oh like oh honestly you could call us both crazy for thinking this actually true or not. I personally believe it's true that everything the government does is a conspiracy. They don't tell us anything, and it kind of everything has a motive. Like a 9/11 could have been a motive. It could have been like Christian said. It could have been the reason for them to go to war.
Yeah, and
And
then there's the whole thing about the Patriot Act being that they did it for so that they can add that and have so much control over all that type of stuff.
yeah, it's kind of like we don't know what the motives are for the government. The government's the government. They don't tell us anything unless you're working in there. You have to like sign stuff to like they could legally kill you if you like release anything. And it's like you can go. They can move a bunch of different ways of how the government controls us as people. Like the pigeons are spies and like they
Oh
spy on
yeah,
us.
birds are government
Like the
drones.
birds, the pigeons are government drones. That's why you never see any baby pigeons. Like your laptop screen, like your freaking camera on your phone is a microphone. They see what you're doing, and it's like we don't never know what they're doing. Oh, it's only when like someone actually tries to think about it, figures it out, and then they start thinking more and more and more like we are, where we kind of think about the scenarios that what they told us and what actually could have happened. It's when you start digging deep into it, we start thinking, what if the government's just always lying to us and we never know?
Yeah, next time anything big happens, mass shooting, hopefully not another terrorist attack, but just anything big, like something like Epstein gets, like, someone gets arrested and like they just happen to be super powerful, and then maybe that same week or the week after, just in that month in general, you hear something while that news of that person or event is still being talked about, and and another event happens that covers up and throws away that whole other thing, maybe it could be the government. You never know. You always got to think about to yourself, if something happens that's pretty big, you got to think about what else could have happened during this
Yeah,
week or
totally.
just like recently that this could be used for a cover up.
Totally, 100%. Like if like something else, but like leave it alone. Like next week we get a whole news about how freaking they're gonna make a whole new like franchisable like movie for Marvel or something, right? Everything go hype about it. Read about it. Maybe you can look up some like news that happened that day, and so you can find something big, and you're like, holy shit, they really passed over this. And it's kind of like you never know, like always like I'm not saying go do it, but like at least like keep that in mind when you're like when you see big news like something hype, and you're like, oh shit, that's what could have happened that day.
Yeah, it's usually some like events that are controversial. So like shooting events, like mass shootings, because it starts up so much controversy that lasts for a while. People going around, bringing up the whole idea of, like, guns should be taken away, guns shouldn't be taken away, while and it lasts for so long that everybody forgets about everything else that happened in the past.
Yeah, it's all a whole propaganda. It's not propaganda, but it's a way of them to be like, all right, we caused mourning, we caused sadness, we caused a whole controversial riot about guns, gun violence. That what should we do about guns, laws, and all that. And then it's kind of like, all right, cool. They're gonna forget about, all right, maybe like the government happened. We just some other shit. Yeah. Like like shit like happens and all that. But enough of all that like saddy,
Yeah.
gritty conspiracy shit. Even if you guys like that, I personally like this kind of topic because it's really good dives deep into like the whole mindset of what you should be thinking, what you shouldn't be thinking.
We're gonna give you guys a little break and a little happy
Yeah,
story
happy.
before
Yeah,
we head off.
y'all about be going to sleep with in mind that your government could be watching on your phone and all that. We don't want that. But how we talk about the whole? I think Mario Kart, the mobile game came out about like a day,
It came out
two
yesterday,
yesterday,
Mario Kart.
right?
Well,
Yeah,
so Thursday, so
yeah,
2 days ago.
yeah.
From where they're
Yeah,
listening to
we're
it.
recording this Friday, so you guys all know. So if we're messing up the date, it's because we record on Fridays. So yeah, Mario Kart came out as of today, Thursday. For yesterday. Mario Kart Mobile came out. I don't know, like I think y'all beasting out there. I think y'all getting first place and shit. Just so y'all know, Bursty Bubble, it's bots. All
Oh
right,
yeah.
like they released a whole statement.
If you ever wonder why you're getting first place in all your races and that little leaderboard that you get that like you're thrown up to very first place and you're like, damn, I'm so good, number one in the world, whatever. Posting on your Snapchats, oh, fight me in Mario Kart,
By being a Mario Kart.
posting everywhere saying you're a Mario Kart god. Nah, just wait for
Yeah,
multiplayer and that update to come out. Y'all
yeah,
gonna get
it's all
smoked.
bots. When you released Mario Kart, their intent was to see how people would download it, and they just basically put a bunch of bots and cups in there. It's basically like playing Mario Kart on your DS. It's on a mobile game.
Yeah, everything is a generated name. So even if you see names and you're like, damn, there's no way like a bot would have that name. Yep, that's
If
a
you
bot
ever
that has a name.
wondered why you won against that dude with the Asian letters in his name, that's why they're bots. Like you never win a guy against with the fucking Asian letters in his name.
Exactly. They're the ones where you get last place in.
Yeah, it's something you used to open up if y'all ever played the Wii Mario Kart and y'all ever try to play against the Asian letters on the online, bro. You know you're gonna lose. You know you're gonna lose. There's no reason to try. There's no
You
reason
either
to try.
leave or you just accept that you're gonna lose.
Or if you see Matt, if you don't know who Matt is, it's that black dude that Wii Sports that will kick your ass when you're like a high level. That nigga will fuck you up. Like those are the ones you gotta watch out for. But yeah, Mario Kart Mobile came out. I haven't been addicted to it. I've been playing it a lot. I
Yeah. Also, if you don't play on drift controls, then
You're
you suck.
weak. You're fucking garbage. I don't know why the fuck you play on that regular steering shit. You all better be drifting.
We ain't about that weenie life in here. If you don't play without drift controls in Mario Kart, then you better delete it off your phone because you don't get bragging rights.
Exactly. I be drifting all day. I be fucking up hitting walls and shit because I'm drifting.
If you
But
can't hold a drift for at least 10 seconds on certain maps, then you have no place in
hey, don't
Mario
go
Kart.
talking shit. I can't even do that shit.
Nah, there's one map. It's the Mario circuit in the very first Cup Tour. You can hold a drift for like at least 10
I
seconds.
don't think I've ever done. I think the most I've gone, I think is on Toast Circuit right now. I think I get barely hit it like a while ago.
It's not every map, but there's certain maps where you can hold a drift for like 10 seconds.
As long as that map has a curve in it, you can fucking do it. I don't want to hear no weenie shit about you. Oh, well, my fingers slip. If you have a fucking Google Pixel and like you're fucking, I can do that shit on Google Pixel. I don't care how small your phone is. Y'all better have that iPhone 4 on that shit for you to say your phone, your fucking fingers slipping
I'm
off.
out here playing on what like almost a 5-year-old phone right now, freaking Galaxy S6, and I'm blasting out here on
Yeah,
that drifting.
I don't want to hear you guys saying, well, my phone crashed. If y'all were rocking out with an iPhone 11 playing Mario Kart Mobile and crashing, y'all garbage. I don't want to hear none of that shit. It's a really good game though. If you haven't downloaded it, if y'all don't have the capacity to download it because your phone's shit, buy a new phone for Mario Kart. I'm just saying, buy like a really cheap phone for it, and it's pretty fun. I recommend.
Honestly,
100%. But that's my everything for today. Hope you guys enjoyed our whole walkthrough to conspiracies and a little hearted moment about Mario Kart. Leave a like and a comment. Be sure to follow us on Instagram, and I'll catch you guys in the next episode.
if you guys have any more conspiracies that you may want to hear about that we didn't talk about, then feel free to leave them down, and we'll see if we know anything and if we want to research about them and talk about them next time.
Yep. Comment down below who's your favorite